Throughout all the kaiju versus space, battle analysis or power scaling, there are debates that will always be popular. Final Wars Godzilla or Heisei Godzilla versus Monsterverse, King Ghidorah versus Mechagodzilla, Destroya versus Space. There have been and always will be debates that dominate the space. But there is one that, at least in my opinion, triumphs over all others. Heisei Godzilla versus Monsterverse Godzilla is the only one that comes close, and is overall, in my eyes, second to only one. A debate that has been going on for the past 10 years. It genuinely baffles me that this was ever a debate to begin with, but hello everyone, I'm your host Goji Guy, and in today's video, we're covering one of the longest ongoing debates in the Godzilla community. With his recent 4K remaster, and a sequel in the talks, today we finally do a proper battle with 2016's Shin Godzilla. In today's video, we ask, Shin Godzilla versus Monsterverse Godzilla, who would win? Again, hello everyone, I'm your host Goji Guy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Before we get started with how this fight will play out, and the rules that we'll have to set in place, let me first say, if you want to see content ranging from dinosaurs, kaiju, sci-fi, aliens, hybrids, and so much more, then make sure to subscribe. From Rathalos and How to Train Your Dragon, to a new upcoming hybrid to crush the competition. You won't want to miss some of the upcoming videos we have planned here on the channel, so make sure to subscribe if any of that interests you. Anyways, with that mentioned, we need to set some solid rules for this fight. For this video, we'll be looking at two different fights. One where Shin Godzilla has to fight there, no running off, as if he could run in the first place, and two, if he could go off to evolve, what would happen? To give Shin literally any chance of winning, we'll be using Monsterverse feats from Godzilla 2014 and anything prior, so strictly Garagoji here. And then after the results are in, we will also cover how Shin Godzilla would hold up against other versions of the Monsterverse Godzilla, and then finally, if he could evolve, would that allow him to win? So, with the rules at play, what categories will we be covering? Well, we'll be covering strength, speed, durability, IQ, battle IQ, and abilities. So, will Shin Godzilla take literally anything? Well, let's find out. Without further ado, make sure to subscribe, and let's start with strength. Let's start with the new competitor, Shin Godzilla. What has he shown to be able to push, pull, or crush in his films? In his first stage, he's able to break through an aqua-lined tunnel. In his second form, he's able to push a fleet of boats in front of him and walks through a bridge. He levels homes in his way, he sends cars flying by bumping into them, and he's able to knock over a building. In his third form, he stomps so hard that he sends a train flying. He's also able to level buildings even easier now. And finally, his fourth form. In this new and improved form, Shin is able to shake homes just by walking past. He sends a part of a bridge flying, and he's able to rip through buildings with ease. And, yeah, that's about it. I should mention, we are only using canon Shin Godzilla, no Ultra Hero tie-in or games like Battle Line. So with his strength mentioned, let's move on to Monsterverse Godzilla. Now for Monsterverse, let me remind you, we are only using Garagoji from 2014 and before. So anything after 2014, whether that's Aftershock to GXK, will not be used. Only media that came up before 2014. So, is this crazy nerf enough to give Shin Godzilla a win? Let's find out. The only two medias we can pull from is G14 itself and Godzilla Awakening. So, let's see what he's done. We see as early as Awakening, Godzilla lifts a mountain off his back. Alright, so, Monsterverse takes strength. I don't think I need to mention the fact that he pushed the 60,000 metric ton female Muto when weakened, or how he threw the 15,000 metric ton male Muto with his jaw. Yeah, no difficulty, Monsterverse Godzilla takes strength. Next up is speed. This is such a dumb debate. Shin walks. That's it. Now, so does Monsterverse, but he has shown that when he needs to move, he can. Such a scene right here. So while they both suck, it's Monsterverse. Next up is durability. Who can take more hits in this battle? Starting with Shin. He's able to take Type 10 tank fire with zero effect. He withstands 16,000 rounds from Apache helicopter autocannons and 30mm turrets. And what do? They bounce off his skin. He takes bombs with no issue. Trains packed to the teeth with bombs only slightly annoy him. Not once, but twice. He has no reaction to missiles from drones, and takes multiple buildings falling on him with no issue. The only thing that damaged him was bunker busters going through his back and exploding inside of his body. And giving him further stuff, Hideaki Anno himself has said that the only way to kill Shin Godzilla would be with a nuke, giving him great durability. Now, onto Monsterverse Godzilla. Yeah, so he, tanks a nuke to the face. And in case that wasn't enough for you, he was able to take the Permian asteroid to the head. The Permian, for context, would have hit harder than the Castle Bravo nuke by 33 million times. So, I don't think I need to say anything else. Monsterverse Godzilla takes durability. Next up is IQ. Shin Godzilla really doesn't show any signs of intelligence. The only time we really see him be aware of his surroundings is when he wasn't even awake, when his dorsal beam sniped the drone out of the sky. Other than that, the only IQ he shows off is the fact that he roughly knows what he needs to evolve into to stand the ever-growing threats he faces off against. Monster vs. Godzilla is up next. From having been tracking down and killing Shin over 250 million years, to being able to tail strike the male Muto perfectly, Godzilla throughout both Awakening and G14 shows many times that he thinks out all of his attacks and his next moves no matter what he's doing. I don't think I need to say much, again, to the shock of no one, Monster vs. Godzilla again takes a category. I really don't know how this is ever a debate, but I'm a man of my word. Next up is Battle IQ. Shin Godzilla, at best, is able to adapt to the stealth bombers in the sky, but other than that, he doesn't fight anything. All right, Monster vs. Goji, shall we? He fights off against Shinamura in both a 1-on-1 and a 2v1. In G14, he fights off against the male and female Muto at the same time. So, yeah. At least he's actually been in a fight. While at this point in time, he might not know what to do against Shin Godzilla, using exclusively stuff before G14, of course. As we know later that he coexisted with other Godzillas, but we can't use that. So, Monster vs. Godzilla, yet again, takes the next category. Yeah. Next up is abilities. And of course, starting with Shin. First, his beams. He has a lot, having his normal atomic breath, his dorsal fin beams, and his tail beam. When in emergencies, he's able to use a huge amount of his energy to blast all of those said beams willy-nilly, to try and stop whatever's threatening him. He has his radar when he's asleep, that will snipe threats from afar. He has his anti-flash defensive membrane, which is just an extra eyelid that protects his eye from explosions and fire and stuff. And lastly, of course, he has his evolution. Regardless, though, if he's allowed to use it or not, it's pretty slow at a large scale, so it's more or less useless in this kind of battle. Now on to Monster vs. Godzilla. Monster vs. Godzilla at the time of G14 only really has one ability, that being his atomic breath. Though it is implied in the comic that he does seem to be able to sense where other kaiju are around the globe, as the case of him chasing down Shinamura for so many years. So, who takes it? Well, while Monster vs. Godzilla's beam is much stronger, since he has a wider array of abilities, Shin will take his one and only point of this battle. So with all the points tallied up, we have a score of 5-1. Monster vs. Godzilla takes strength, speed, durability, IQ, and battle IQ, while Shin walks away with abilities. So, who wins? Monster vs. Godzilla. Like, really, how is this a debate? A single blow from Monster vs. Godzilla, whether that be a punch, kick, stomp, or tail whip, would put Shin in critical condition. And in a battle like this, there's nothing Shin can do to get Monsterverse off of him. Even if he uses his back dorsal beams full force, it will just push Monsterverse Goji more than anything. And once he's depleted his energy, he's got nothing. Monsterverse Godzilla doesn't even have to use his beam. His physical blows alone would be enough to kill Shin Godzilla, or just cause him to self-destruct. Now, what about the other forms as I promised? Well, it just gets worse and worse. As Monsterverse gets stronger and stronger, Shin loses worse and worse. Dohei Goji? At that point, a single punch would likely do the job. Thermo? He just has to walk up to Shin and he'll die from overheating. He doesn't even need to pulse. Evolved in any capacity? Yeah, a flick from him and Shin's gone. But I hear the comments, what about his evolution? Well, on to the second half of the video. Now, let's assume Shin somehow is able to get away from Monsterverse Godzilla in the fight and flee to evolve. Well, let's break it down. Firstly, I want to mention, when people bring up Shin Godzilla, or specifically Form 4 versus Monsterverse, they claim he can just evolve. Now, that argument has many issues. Firstly, by saying, oh, he'll evolve, you are openly admitting he loses. End of story. You are admitting that he is not strong enough and needs to buff himself to a point where it would be fair, which in turn means you acknowledge that he loses. But let's dive further. Secondly, that's assuming the fight would go like this. Monsterverse Godzilla attacks, and then just lets Shin Godzilla leave. 1, Shin couldn't even run away if he wanted to. Monsterverse is just too fast and would still just kill him. 2, let's assume he somehow can run off. Well, now you're ignoring the fact that Monsterverse Godzilla has the ability to track him down. 3, let's assume he can't. Well, keep in mind, it took a few weeks for Shin Godzilla to be able to evolve to withstand modern weaponry. For him to withstand a guy who blasts a hole through the earth, is stronger than any naturally occurring thing, has energy readings that are higher than the hollow earth itself, which has been compared to stars, and at a young age took the Permian asteroid straight to the face and walked off, Shin would need to evolve for months, if not years. And Monsterverse would still just have plenty of time to track him down and find him. So ignoring the fact that Shin can't do this instantly, ignoring the fact that he can't run away, ignoring the fact that Monsterverse wouldn't just kill him regardless, ignoring the fact that Monsterverse would track him down and kill him, we are left with the question, can Shin evolve to kill him? Let me say that again. Can Shin Godzilla adapt to kill Monsterverse Godzilla? No. Now, allow me to explain Shin's stance. Firstly, even if this is a weaker Goji, Shin just wouldn't be able to adapt enough to kill Godzilla, as Godzilla wouldn't go into this fight full force. Shin would only adapt to the level of power that he's been exposed to. He doesn't know all of Monsterverse Godzilla's tricks and tactics. He could grow more durable and stronger, But still, Monsterverse will then just try harder. In a fight between these two, after the first few blows, Monsterverse Godzilla would see how weak Shin is from the get-go, and wouldn't bother going 100% on him, as that would just be a waste of energy. So even if Shin survives, and gets away and comes back, he will only adapt to a certain level of Monsterverse Godzilla's strength. But let's continue even further. Let's assume Shin just keeps coming back over and over, each time stronger, and maybe even begins to fly. Is that enough to take down Goji? Still no. As the first piece of Monsterverse media, that being Godzilla Awakening, Godzilla fights the better version of Shin Godzilla, Shinomura, a giant parasite kaiju that fights Godzilla tens, if not hundreds of times over 250 million years. Each time Shinomura comes back stronger, and Godzilla is still able to handle it. But I hear a final argument Shin stands. Well, Godzilla would have to destroy every cell to kill him. And my response? No. No, he wouldn't. Firstly, there's been a huge misconception that I personally believed happened because of Shinomura. Since their names are so similar, I think people mistakenly reference the fact that Shinomura can grow from a single cell as Shin Godzilla doing that. But to add on further, one of the main arguments for Shin being able to do this is the deleted scene of the part where his flesh starts to grow eyes and teeth. Well, firstly, in the name. Deleted scene. It wasn't in the film, therefore it's not usable or canon. But to add on, let's keep giving Shin every benefit of the doubt. And let's say, sure, it's canon. Well, newsflash. Growing eyes and teeth doesn't mean you can regenerate your body. You know what else grows eyes and teeth? Tumors! You could have a tumor in your body and it can grow all sorts of things. Eyes, ears, teeth, and much more. The flesh growing doesn't mean it's going to regrow its entire body. He has no energy to do so. He gets all of his energy from his naturally occurring nuclear reactor in his body. The flesh just had leftover energy, and it was more of a biological reaction rather than it being self-aware and trying to preserve itself. It's like when we put salt on frog legs. They will jerk around, and the muscles will contract. Not because it's alive, but because it's a natural reaction with the energy left over. Once it's detached, it's dead. It's not going to regrow into another Shin Godzilla. Hey guys, editing Goji here. So after looking more into it, this is kind of wrong and right. The point still stands that he won't regenerate his entire body from a small piece of flesh, but it is implied in the film that he could possibly start to evolve from some flesh. But two things need to be brought up. Firstly, the fact that the deleted scene is, well, deleted. It seems to go more in depth on the idea of him regrowing from flesh, but given the scene was deleted showing that, it seems they chose to just keep it as a hypothetical. And secondly, even if it was true, any flesh torn off in a fight would be minuscule, likely only a few millimeters. As during a big battle like this, Monsterverse would likely unknowingly destroy whatever flesh is going on the ground in larger chunks. And then finally, if it is true fully, after Shin comes back a couple of times, Monsterverse Godzilla would learn that he needs to destroy him fully, and would do so with his beam rather than just punching. And even with all this in mind, it's still kind of useless as Shin Godzilla could just blow up and kill himself, and Monsterverse Godzilla hits harder than a nuke and Shin would die to a nuke, so yeah. So, can Shin Godzilla win even with his regen and adaptability? Still, no. This is why I'm so surprised this debate is still going on for so long. Like, even with his regen, it's not helping him much, if at all. All this will do is have them have a second fight after Monsterverse Godzilla lets him leave. And let's go even further. Who can Shin Godzilla beat in the Monsterverse? Like, what big-name titan can he take down? Behemoth is winning with ease. Homie leveled entire mountains when he woke up from Ghidorah's call. Scylla was able to take many blows from Godzilla in 3 different fights, so her durability is too high for Shin to do much. The only titan I could see Shin possibly beating would be the Drowned Viper, as if the Drowned Viper wraps around him and Shin lands a full force back beam on him, it may cut through enough of the Drowned Viper where it will cause the Drowned Viper to bleed out. Or maybe the young Ion Dragon. Other than that, he really doesn't beat anyone that's a main titan. Behemoth slams, Male Mucho plays around with him, Abaddon's Plague Weavers in large enough hordes could hold him down, the Wart Dogs got it, even Suko's got it because he's just too durable for Shin Godzilla to do anything. So, that's it. Shin Godzilla not only loses, but this is probably the most one-sided battle in this channel's history. Now, I want to say, I do not hate Shin Godzilla. I know many creators that bash on him and say he's weak, just because they don't like the film. But that's not the case with me. I really like Shin for many reasons. The film, while slightly boring, has an incredibly important message. The CGI is amazing, and the atomic breath scenes are top tier in the Godzilla franchise. But while I do like him, I'm not gonna glaze him and just say he wins because, well, he doesn't. But what do you all think? Does Shin have any abilities that I'm somehow not aware of? And what are your hopes in his possible upcoming sequel? Want to see him fight a new kaiju? Or just a part 2 of his first rampage? Let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, again, make sure to subscribe. Anyways, if you want to see how a hasty Godzilla would perform against Monsterverse Godzilla, make sure to go watch this video right here. But thank you all for watching, and as always, keep collecting. Goji Guy, out. See ya.